Hello, everybody. Welcome. As you trickle in here to the webinar space, I would love to hear from you. Just hello and where you're tuning in from. I am tuning in from dreary and rainy Portland, Oregon. We are definitely heading into winter. Been drinking a lot of herbal tea. I'm going to give it a minute here. I'm going to give it a minute here. We do have a larger group today, so we'll give it about 30, 45 more seconds. And as you trickle in, just go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're tuning in from in the chat. Hi, Jessica. Arizona, I am excited that you're here as well. And I'm very jealous of the Arizona weather right now. Hi, Laura from Boulder. Hi, Emily. Nice to see you here. Hi, Andrea. Ooh, so many names that are familiar to me. I'm so excited. Hi, Jill. It's so good to see you here. Awesome. We'll keep that going. Again, we'll have kind of a bigger group today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started just so that we can kind of stay on track with time. And welcome to Marketing Yourself as a Holistic Professional. So, just to go over some brief housekeeping, we are going to have a wonderful guest speaker today. Um, she's going to be speaking for roughly about 30 minutes. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end, and then I'll be continuing on with the rest of the presentation. And we should be wrapping up right at the hour. So, this will be about an hour long, and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions. You'll note that your on mute, and that's just because we do record this webinar and we will send this out as an email to those that are participating today and also those who've registered. But that being said, even though you're on mute, I really want to make this conversational. I really want the engagement. I want to hear from all of you. So please don't be shy. Use that chat button. We're going to do our best with the time we have to get to everyone's questions, but I want to reiterate that, I can definitely reach out to you individually after the webinar and talk with you more about your questions if we can't get to it today. And if we have not met, my name is Felicia Royce. I am the Director of Alumni and Career Services here. I've been with ACHS off and on for about 10 years now, believe it or not. I've been in this role for about 3 years, and I really feel like I have the best job in the world. I get to work with all of you, and I'm very passionate about helping students and graduates find, their path in their career. So at the end, I'll be sharing a link to my online calendar. So if any of this that we're talking about today resonates with you and you want to dive in further, I would love to meet with you individually. I meet with students and alumni. We have a very special guest today, Jane Williams. Jane is currently a student toward the end of her master's in holistic nutrition. It would take me a whole half an hour to go over every accolade and everything that Jane has done in her career. But you can see here some of the highlights. She is the business owner of Williams Wellness and has created a podcast amongst other programs that she's going to talk about. And so I just want to give Jane a warm welcome. We're super excited to have her here, and I'm going to turn it over to Jane.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be here. And as Felicia was saying, it would take her 30 minutes at least to get through all the stuff that I've done. That just means I'm old, people. That's what this means. That
No.
means I have, and you know what? I don't feel old, just so we're clear on that. But I definitely have lived an amazing journey thus far, and that just means I've had awesome opportunities to do a lot of stuff. And, I'm really excited to be with all of you here today. And, before I get like chatting about things and sharing and hopefully empowering you on where you are in your journey to really look at things a little bit differently or to maybe elevate what you're already doing. I want to know where you are in your journey here at ACHS. Are you just starting? Are you an undergraduate? Are you a graduate? Do you already work in the wellness space? Let me know because when I reference certain things, I want to make sure that I am being inclusive to everybody. I love this alumni. So if you're an alumni, do you already have a wellness practice? So I want to know where you're at, and that will be helpful to me and make sure that I am speaking to everybody here. So please do that for me. And Felicia, thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate that so much. And I'm here really to serve all of you. I'm here to share my story. We all are on our own journey, in life and in our wellness businesses. Uh, our health trials, all of it. And that has gotten me to where I am today. All of those incredible pieces, and just like all of you, it's a journey. And so I'm really excited to share a little bit. Felicia, did you want me to talk a little bit about my background first, or did you want to ask some questions?
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say, wow, I'm so impressed with everybody being so engaged this morning. We have so many people responding just where they're at in their journey. And some people are, they're in the middle of a career shift. Some folks are really looking at, where do I want to go with my holistic health, career in the future. Some people already own their own businesses. So we definitely have a mix of professionals and future professionals here with us today. So I really appreciated the question and all of the engagement. Um, but yeah, Jane, if we could start with just your bio, I would love to, have the audience hear more about like, maybe the timeline. I know it's hard to fit all of that in a few minutes, but just, maybe a little bit about your educational and professional background that kind of brought you to where you're at today.
Yes. So just like I'm sure so many of you, I have my own health journey. And, my journey really started in my teens, but I really didn't focus and pay attention to that until I was really in my 20s and truly suffering. And so that was, surrounded by incredible gut health issues. But back then nobody was really talking about gut health. That this was the 90s. It was the low fat craze. For those of you that lived through that time period, the Snackwell era, but nobody really talked about gut health. But it wasn't something that I could ignore. I knew there was something going on. But my journey started. This is a second career for me. When I was in my 20s, I worked in television. I worked in New York City, and I've lived a very stressful, fast-paced lifestyle, and did a very good job of ignoring the whispers that got louder. I'm sure many of you know where I'm at with that. But it was something that I couldn't ignore any longer. And at the same time, as I got married and started to journey into motherhood or wanting to be a mom, I was also dealing with infertility. I had a pregnancy loss and then infertility and all these question marks. And so essentially, I went on medication that I accepted, and I wasn't getting better. And I knew that. And that is kind of where my journey started into I know better than this. What can I do to really start to dive in and heal myself? I was a journalist. I worked in television and I love to investigate. I investigated everything else, but I didn't take the time to investigate my own health and my own needs. And once I started doing that and really diving into that, it just totally was mind-blowing to me that, our body doesn't work in silos, that we're truly interconnected. And really learning about gut health and the microbiome and diving into the information that I could find and the research that I could find, I was just fascinated with it. And eventually, I worked really hard to heal myself, get myself off of the medication, and I got pregnant. And I really truly turned my health around. And it became a calling, really. It became a calling to me to go back to school, to learn as much as I could about nutrition, to truly start to dive into this idea of holistic, whole person health, that our bodies are all interconnected, the idea of bioindividuality, what that looked like, because our body does not work in silos, as we all know here, and to truly look at what medicine really is and what it means to me in my life as well. So that started my journey into educating myself. And it started to unfold once I started educating myself. I started to kind of have these opportunities coming to me. Opportunities, I met functional medicine physicians, and I learned a lot about, MDs, traditional MDs that had gone back and done functional medicine training. And I had opportunities to start working with them. So I started working in a functional medicine office. And from there, that kind of opened up again through connections and networking, little tidbits for all of you, that it opened up the doors to working with a massive gym. And I had the ability to kind of work as their health coach at the time and to serve a lot of their clients. And then I met a chiropractor who was opening up a wellness space and went to work with him and kind of help him to build out that nutrition space. I started saying yes to all of these opportunities to really learn and grow my own brand. At the time, I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew that I was fascinated with the touch points and empowering people around their health. And I just kept kind of, mounting on what else can I learn? Where else can I go? And eventually that brought me to graduate school. And then eventually that brought me to ACHS and wanting to truly complete my master's in science in holistic nutrition. So, over the span of that time, I have had the opportunity to work with truly thousands of people on their health journey in various aspects. I have spoken at on stages, on large stages, on small stages for corporations. I have partnered with other wellness organizations, and I have built out nutrition content for them. I have spoken with them. I have served on boards, on wellness boards. I have worked with individual clients. I started a podcast because I'm so fascinated in learning from other people and just learning their own stories. I've built out programs. I built out a lot of programs online before Chat GPT was a thing to do, truly like writing the content and diving deep into what speaks to me and what I want to put out there in the world. And that's a piece I definitely want to share with you when Felicia asks her questions. So that just a small tidbit on some of the things that I've done.
Ah, it's amazing. Such an amazing story. And I love the networking piece and the message that to say yes to things because you just never know, what those
Mhm.
connections might lead to. And so I really appreciate that about your story and what you're sharing today. And so kind of piggyback a little bit off of what you're saying, I would love to know how your story has informed how you reach your audience. And this will be kind of a two-part question. So,
Mhm.
how does that inform, the marketing that you're currently doing? And what
Yeah.
are some key elements, would you say, of a compelling brand story?
Right. I think that's a great question. So essentially, I believe everybody's story, mine included, is the foundation truly of how we connect with our audience. Uh, I've lived through many seasons of growth, many seasons of reinvention, of healing. I'm 49 years old, just so everybody knows, to put that out there. I've been in the wellness space for almost 20 years. But for all of us, we go through reinvention, we go through healing. elevating our own well-being. And those experiences absolutely allow you to speak from a place of authenticity and relatability, right? And it's your voice, nobody else in the wellness space. We see, we can get overwhelmed, especially I understand that where you are as a student, where you are as an alumni, right? And building your business. It's easy to get overwhelmed and trapped into the social media vortex of, there's so many people out there doing this. There's people with more credentials than me. But here's the scoop, my friends. Nobody has your voice. Nobody has your voice. And because you have such a beautiful, unique voice, you have such a beautiful, unique set of values and experiences that nobody else has. They belong to you. There's people who are looking for you, but you have to put yourself out there. You have to be authentic. You have to be relatable. So I don't market from aspiration alone. I market from lived experience. And I want you guys to really hone in on that. My audience personally feels that I walk the walk. That's how I share, and it's the truth. And it shapes everything from the partners I choose to partner with along my journey, to the tone that I communicate with, and being real, grounded, optimistic, which I think is very important, and committed to making wellness feel accessible rather than overwhelming.
Mhm.
So that's truly, how I believe your story informs how you reach your audience and market your services.
I love that so much. Everyone has their own unique voice. Everyone
Yeah.
has clients out there just waiting for them. And
They do. Yes. And it's easy again to get stuck in that overwhelm that I'm not doing what he's doing. I'm not doing what she's doing. I don't have those credentials. Oh, they said it better. No, 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 no. That's just dimming your own light. That's getting caught up in the overwhelm. And to be honest, it's a little bit of a safety mechanism that our brain plays on us, and I want you to remember that. It's not the truth, right? It's just we feel as though it's a safety net, but it's really not. And I can honestly tell each and every one of you that where my incredible growth has truly happened is to get into the uncomfortable, to really challenge myself in the way that I do things, to show up when I don't feel like showing up, to be consistent, to lead with my gut. So if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't do it, but take action around the things that truly do.
Mhm. Intuition's a powerful thing.
Mm,
Such wise words. So, kind of in conjunction with that last question, how do you stay grounded and aligned? You have a lot going on. You have a lot of plates
yeah,
spinning. How do you stay true to your values? How do you kind of reconnect with that
yeah.
why that brought you here all those years ago?
I think that without a doubt, you have to revisit your core values, you know, uh, integrity,
Mhm.
connection, and my own personal well-being, which for each of us who are, in a holistic space, which we all are, if you aren't already, it's something that you're looking to engage in here. You really have to connect with self. That's part of walking the walk, right? So before I personally say yes to any partnership or message, I ask, does this elevate people? Does it align with how I actually live? Does it serve long-term trust, not short-term gain? That's a big one. And if the answer isn't a clear yes, I don't move forward on it. I've learned that. And this is learned experience too. So that personal filter like keeps my marketing honest and heart-led and not performative. Because
Mhm.
once we start to live in a performative state, you're moving farther away from your brand voice, who you truly are.
Mm. Mm. I just had this visual of like taking the mask off and just
Yeah.
just showing up with that authenticity. And I love how you put that. So kind of switching gears, what emerging marketing trends do you believe will have the biggest impact, 2026 and beyond? You had mentioned ChatGPT. Obviously, that's a
Yeah,
newer phenomena that we're all kind of tapping into, but what are
right.
the things that you kind of see on the horizon?
And learning how to use AI responsibly. That's a big thing. Again, having been in the wellness space for as long as I have, I am very human versus non. I like a bit of non-polished storytelling. And now I don't know about, all of you here, but if I receive a newsletter from somebody in the wellness space, I can tell immediately if it's Chat GPT or not. Just the voice content, the way that it's written, and it's immediately off-putting to me. I'll unsubscribe immediately. I don't care who you are. I will automatically unsubscribe because that's not human connection. So, as far as I'm concerned, human, non-polished storytelling, people are craving realness, right? Realness over perfection. We know there's no such thing as true perfection. We're human, right? People want your human stories. Again, it's that connection with you that drives your brand. So don't lose that. That's really important. And I believe in the coming year, people are craving that and will crave that more and more. And I want you to kind of tap into yourself when you start to see more AI generated things and or if you receive a newsletter and it really feels heart-centered to you, that's speaking to you for a reason. So you can utilize that as part of your thoughts, your authenticity. Okay, this is where I want to go with how I market, with how my brand speaks to people. Creator-led partnerships. So where depth and values matter more than follower content. I think that a lot of times we get caught up in how many followers we have versus quality content. So just keep in mind, when you look to partner with people. I partner with a few different wellness brands, but I vet those brands. And remember, they're not your brand, right? You are partnering with them, and you have to be really careful. You got to be really careful who you're partnering with because their brand can absolutely change. So make sure that it aligns with who you are as a creator if you're going to create that partnership. We talked about a bit about chat AI assisted personalization, right? So I do feel like there's an amazing space for that. I have a very small team that I work with, right? We try to do a lot of things over the years. With a small team, it's difficult to do all of the things. So if it can help your team scale without losing your voice, then it's worth using. Just be mindful about how you use it, but it can be a powerful tool in building your brand if you use it with your authenticity, with your voice. So I think that there's a responsibility around that. Community first engagement. So I'm all about small, loyal, intimate communities are outperforming massive communities, scale communities, right? Because I always say your email list is king. So for those that are following you, for those that are receiving your newsletters, those people really want to hear from you. They want your voice. They want to know what you're doing. They're elevated by what you project, you put out there, your authenticity. So community first engagement, I want you to speak to them, and that will help you to continue to grow. And then health and wellness transparency, which I think is what consumers want. They want proof, they don't want promises. So I think that we will see that over the next year. There's so much out there. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace out there. You all are educated individuals. You're here at ACHS because you want to elevate your education, you want to get those credentials. And I want you to lean on that because I think that is what people crave. There's so much gook out there in TikTok world and the Instagram world. So again, you got to cut through the noise and think about what that looks like for you.
So well said. And truly, you answered pretty much every other question that I had written down. And looking at the time, that's actually like a beautiful place to.
Is it already? We're already there. What happened?
I wanted to give a little bit of time for Q&A, just,
Yeah.
really wanting to honor your time today. So we did have a couple of things come through in the chat that I'll get to here in just a second, but this is the time if anyone else has any comments or questions before Jane has to, log off. Please put them in the chat and we'll do our best to get to them here in the next 5 minutes or so. But Carrie Ann had asked Jane on the topic of getting uncomfortable. Can you tell us what challenges you were faced with in this
Mm,
space? How did those experiences lead you where you are today?
that's a great question. I love that question. Uh, I've had various challenges over the years. I think, Carrie Ann, we tend to get in our own way. I think that's the biggest challenge, if you want the honest truth. We get on this cycle of there's always one more thing we need to do before we can fully engage, before we can sell ourselves and our programs and who we are. I think getting ourselves out of the way is the biggest challenge. And that's really what I want to empower all of you guys with. You need to take action. Share your story. You matter. Your story matters. You're here because your education matters. You're doing it. You're doing it more than, a massive portion of the wellness population influencers that are out there. And I'm speaking to you guys in this space, being heartfelt because I know that our intentions, all of us here, we are all here because we want to elevate ourselves with our better education, right? We know that nutrition is a young science, wellness is a new science, and there's always more to learn. But you can't just keep learning. You've got to take that knowledge and you have to share it, right? Because our journey, while we see our journey as being infinite, oh, I've got time. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? So get out of your way. This is something I'm only sharing with all of you because I've had to tell myself. I've gotten in my way so many
Mhm.
times, and you showing up, you being consistent, and I'm going to share some questions. I think Felicia's going to share some questions with all of you that I really want you to take the time. There's 5 questions, but we're going to share it in the chat. I want you guys to just, even maybe right after this webinar, just take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and just write down some of the answers that just come top of mind for you. And I want you to really start to dive in and say, okay, I'm going to start being consistent. I'm going to show up. I'm going to start a blog, or maybe you have a blog. I'm going to start talking about something a little bit differently. I'm going to share something that I haven't shared before. I'm going to share it a little bit differently. I think that it's always good to look at the marketplace, at competition, to see what others are doing and what others are talking about, what studies are out there, how we can implement those studies into what we're talking about. But be careful. There's a line, right? There's a line that sometimes we go down the rabbit hole and we cross. And what happens when we do that is we get stuck. That's when we get in our own way.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
reminder.
Yes, that was so amazing. Yes, it's true. And there's no such thing as perfect, right? Like
No,
there's just not.
no. And you know what? Perfect doesn't sell. You
And
know,
it's
you,
it's boring.
right? No, it's boring. It's boring. It's not relatable.
No, no.
It's glossy. It looks good on camera. But
Yeah,
it's not relatable. So it's going to be, oh, that's nice. Okay, that doesn't really relate
not
to
real.
me. I'm moving on.
It's not
Right?
it's not
So, yeah.
And I have to say, as we wrap up here, that's one thing I've just really appreciated about getting to know you, Jane, is just your authenticity and how that just shines through. And I really appreciate you being here today to share all of your wisdom and great nuggets of information. And I think this is really going to empower the audience here today to take some of those action steps and have a direction. Um, there's a lot of questions coming up in the chat.
Yeah.
Most of these I can actually answer. So if we're not able to get to the Q&A by the end of the webinar, I will reach out to you directly. I do get a transcript of all of the questions, and so I'm not forgetting about any of you. It's just time. Time is
Right.
hard to come by in these amazing conversations. So I just want to give a virtual round of applause to Jane, and thank you again for being here today. Um, if anyone wants to get in touch with Jane, you can see her website there. Jane, is there like a contact?
Yes. So I see all of these I see all these great questions coming in, and I'm happy to take the time to answer you guys too. If you want to DM me, you're more than welcome to do that. Definitely DM me versus sending me an email. I got a lot of email. So I absolutely would be happy to do that. If you're on Facebook, you can go to Jane Williams Wellness. You can DM me there. If you're on Instagram, you can go to Williams Wellness. Uh, you can absolutely check out my website. You can contact me there, but go for the DM route first. I'll be more apt to see that quicker. And I'll be happy to answer. I see some awesome questions in
Yeah,
here,
I
but I
know.
want
Wish we
Felicia to
had
be able to
hours.
get through. I know we need an hour. We need a
I
solid
know, but
hour.
I will be able to get, some of the things I'm going to be going over just naturally are going to answer some of these questions, and I'll definitely try to get to all of you here. But thank you again, Jane. I hope you have
Yes.
a wonderful rest of
Oh,
your day.
no, this was a pleasure. I'm so excited to share with you guys. And one more thing, I have Empowered Masterclass. It's my business masterclass that I do run yearly. It's an amazing group. It helps you elevate your wellness business, set up foundationally. You can go to my website, you can sign up on the wait list, and you'll get information as well. So if you're interested in learning more, go there as well.
Amazing. Thank you. And for all
Thanks.
of you that are still on here, don't go anywhere because we're going to keep going here. Thank you, Jane. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks. So wonderful to have Jane on today. A big thank you to her. And for all of you that are going to continue with the rest of this webinar, I just wanted to kind of go over a few additional kind of nuggets here that really kind of flow with what Jane has kind of talked about today with her own business. We talked a lot about sharing the signature story. And I said earlier that I absolutely love my job, and it's because I get to hear all of your amazing stories. You come to ACHS with a story. You've been through something in your life, your family's been through something, holistic health has impacted you in some way. I hear some of the most amazing, just inspirational, stories of triumph and overcoming. And most of you who I talk to have this huge heart for wanting to help other people. And I feel like when we transition that into what we learn in school and then we want to build our businesses, we lose some of the threads of that story because we get into list mode, right? Or we get into here are all the logistical things that I have to do, which of course those things have to happen. You have to get an LLC and insurance and all of those things. But I think what Jane was really highlighting today is that story piece and how important it is to connect that to your business and to connect with other people. So I'd highly encourage you to think about your story, have it written down somewhere, have that be your why as well. And just kind of, if you're looking for a little bit of a framework, really starting with kind of the before moment, what happened to really transform your own personal story, like where's that turning point. Jane had talked about her struggle with infertility, and then she went on a personal health journey and was able to have a baby, and that was her transformational moment, and that's what led her to this path. So, to really think about what is your story and how can you lead from that place, from a very genuine and authentic place. Um, And it also helps you really connect with your purpose. And I think it just really impacts. I know when I hear a story or I feel like somebody is really connected, if I'm looking for health coaching, I want somebody that I feel like I can trust. And I feel like sharing your story can really build that trust. Being able to be vulnerable with somebody is also, obviously with a professional touch. But I think that really kind of speaks to that authenticity piece. So, yeah, if you want to, go over this a little bit more, of course, we can always do that individually as well. And I think also using empowering language. I think for a lot of budding practitioners as well as potential clients, fear is a really big obstacle. Maybe we're afraid to tell our story, or, maybe we're afraid that we'll go in as a client into health coaching and be vulnerable and tell our story and feel like we're not going to get that authenticity on the other side. So I think using empowering language, helping your clients understand that they're in the driver's seat, that you're there to be a guide and a resource, not somebody who is going to take over their story, right? So I think that's also really important. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about your unique value proposition. And again, I think Jane touched on this, with your own unique voice, right? All of you have your own unique voice. And I have to say, in my role, I hear so often, what can I do differently that somebody else isn't already doing, right? Or, how can I really, be taken seriously by my community? They don't know what herbal medicine is, and they can go see their doctor, right? I get a lot of that kind of negative self-talk, and I work that out with people and really help people to see that they do have their own unique voice, and there is room for everyone, right? So I want you to think about your audience because it's not just about who you're trying to reach out to, it's also who do you want to work with? Who is your ideal client? I always use myself as an example. I am a licensed massage therapist. I had my own practice for years before coming back into this role at ACHS. And I used to, at the very beginning, think that I could just work with anyone, I could help anyone. And while that's true in some regard, I was finding myself exhausted at the end of the day because I worked at a gym, and a lot of my clients were coming to me for sports massage, which is not what I naturally, was good at. And so I would have to be, kind of in a way performative and try to, muscle my way through a lot of these massages. And I was just exhausted and my cup wasn't full at the end of the day. And so I had to come to terms with that and really develop, what are my strengths as a massage therapist? What do I really focus on? And, who is my ideal client? If somebody is going to be working with me, how can we really, work well together? And that was a huge game changer for me. And thinking about, who comes to you naturally, if you have friends and family that come to you, what are they asking you about? What do you enjoy, in your work? Whether that's, a specific condition that you want to work with or a specific, audience that you want to work with, but really getting granular on that and really taking some inventory. And then, a lot of times, I know you've probably heard this before, but I think it is really important to think about if somebody is coming to you for coaching or consulting, typically they have a problem that they're trying to solve, right? Um, they're trying to find resources and support and they're trying to get past this problem. And many times they've tried maybe for years and they're still dealing with the same problem. And so if you're too general, because health coaching has been fairly watered down, with things like social media and, folks that maybe aren't really credentialed to be doing health coaching, it's kind of watered down the word health coaching. So I would implore you guys to really think about like what is the problem that you're trying to solve versus what is the title that I need to have, right? So kind of flipping that around a little bit. And then clarifying the transformation that you provide and highlighting your unique framework. How are you meeting people where they're at? And sometimes that's thinking about your creative side, right? Like, do you want to put together a group? Education module? Do you want to put something together at your local library? Do you want to, I think one-on-one coaching and consulting is great, but it's limiting, right? There's only one path you can go with that. So I think also opening it up to a bigger framework can also be really helpful and can engage, people from different areas too and more people at one time. So thinking through, programs that maybe you want to incorporate, um, but leading with that story. I'm going to look at the chat here. Authenticity is such an incredible, important thing. I literally was telling my doctor about all the trauma from the past few years. It's nice to actually listen to a medical professional um, that listens. Yes, listening is so, so important. Being able to do that active listening, being able to reflect things back to people, believing people and what they're going through, that in itself, holding that space for somebody is so important. And it's not something that most people get in their care. Jessica said, I don't feel like looking at who comes to you naturally is a good way to navigate your audience. I've had to become highly political in my business because I naturally attract the exact opposite of who I want to be working with. Yeah, that's a really good point, Jessica. Um, that's definitely a question that you can ask yourself if you are, having a hard time kind of figuring out what your niche is. But by all means, if you feel like who's coming to you naturally is not in alignment with your values or what you enjoy doing, then I would definitely not apply that to you. Definitely use what works for you and leave what doesn't. Thank you for sharing that feedback. Okay, so moving on. So we talked already quite a bit about this. So connecting to and sharing your why. Um, Start with what you believe in, share the personal reason behind it, connect with your why, go back to that why multiple times. Once you get your business up and running and you have your business plan and you're off and running, it's really important at least once a year, sometimes even once a quarter, to go back and do some investigating as to what's working and what's not, with that why and that story being at the center of everything. Bring your audience into your story. This can be through social media, it can be through getting testimonials, it can be, asking for referrals. Um, it goes back to integrity, being clear, honest, and conversational with your audience, and tying this into your story, as we've talked about many times in this webinar. So Jane had also mentioned, we get stuck in this. We need more education. We need more credentials. We need more, XYZ before we can actually get started. And I think that that is definitely one of those kind of fear-based kind of analysis paralysis. I'm not quite ready to get going, so I'm just going to keep learning until I feel ready. And sometimes that ready never really comes unless we, like Jane said, kind of step outside of our comfort zone. So and again, going back to what I had said earlier, I often get the you know the comment or the question around, are my credentials enough? And I'd say 99% of the time, yes. Now, we don't want to misrepresent ourselves, right? We can't say we're something that we're not or have a credential that we don't have. And obviously, there's laws and regulations that we have to follow. But generally speaking, if you've gone through a program at ACHS and you're going to build your own business, typically you have the credentials to do that, right? And so when you're talking to potential investors, potential clients, partners, I think it's important to state your credentials as facts, not justifications, not making an excuse like I just have a diploma in holistic health practice, but I'm going to be getting more education soon. No, what you have is a big investment that you've made into yourself, into your future. And so you clearly list what those facts are, and those are, credentials after your name, and be proud of that. Um, And then, connect those credentials to your mission. Why did you take that master's in holistic nutrition? But don't over explain it. You don't owe anything to anyone. And I often ask people when they come to me with these concerns, do you ever really like study somebody's credentials? I mean, I guess if you're going to a doctor, of course you have to do that. But I mean, if I meet somebody who has a product or a service that I'm really interested in, I'm not looking through all of their credentials and nitpicking that, right? That's not what's important to me as a consumer. So I think it's just important to remember that as well. And then practice saying your credentials out loud, and drop the minimizing language. And I cannot state that enough. There's so much minimizing. I only have this. I just have this. I'm not quite this. And practice that kind of empowering language of I bring instead of I am trying. So I bring this. And so I hope that resonates with some of you. Definitely comes up a lot in the work that I do. Looking at the chat here, you're welcome, Carrie Ann. Are we going to have a business-like class with these types of focuses? We do have quite a few classes, Linda. I don't know how deep they go into marketing, but we do have some business courses at the undergrad and grad level. Gina, maybe if you could share some of those business classes, that would be great. And we also have a wonderful micro credential as well, that does cover a whole section on marketing. So that might be something that you all are interested in. Andrea said, I've scheduled out quarterly business meetings um, to assess how I'm doing, where my business is going. That's fantastic. Danielle said, what do you recommend if you don't have the credentials yet, not graduated yet? Well, I think it depends on the situation. So, if you have any other education or any other credentials to speak of outside of your degree at ACHS, or you can use the verbiage in process or candidate. Those are things that you can use as well after your name. So, um, one thing I would recommend if you are looking for, some of those credentials to kind of build before you graduate, Coursera has really great, very, inexpensive or even free classes to boost some of that credentialing. Micro credentials, master classes, those are all things you can, obviously list as part of your education. But yeah, you can also use the language in process or, um, something like that shows that that is the degree that you're going to be obtaining here in the near future. I have an herbal tea business. Some individuals come to challenge my knowledge. I don't like it, but I do what you're saying by politely letting them know what I offer. And yes, Joanne, I'm sorry that you deal with that. That's actually pretty common. I would also say this might be an opportunity for education. If somebody is, maybe challenging something, it's maybe because they don't quite know what it is, or they've heard something about it, that they're not quite educated. And I think because of some of the watering down, right, that comes from social media and things of that nature, people don't always understand that this is actually based in science and evidence-based, and you've gone through a program. So I think it's also an opportunity to provide some education as well. Um, Ashley said that is so true, but finding the right school who provides the right credentials. Yeah, definitely. And so I think it's important for you to think about, what credentials really speak to your values. What credentials do you want to go after you're done with your program? Do you want to get the BCHN through the NAMP, to be board certified in holistic nutrition? Or do you want to get that coaching credential? Like what credentials are meaningful to you? Um, what I was trying to say is our credentials don't make us more valuable necessarily. We don't have to always be worried about, are we good enough? I guess is what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. But I love your comments here. Keep them coming. We have a few more minutes and I'm almost done with my slides here. So, also being intentional with your offerings, build services around your strengths. I also say start really small. So, little bite size, like maybe start with one service. I was just at this awesome Christmas market holiday market thing in my community, and I was struck up a conversation with the skincare and product-based professional. She was really awesome, and she was telling me I literally started with this hair oil. That was my first product, and now she has a dozen products. But you have to start somewhere, and I think biting off more than you can chew can really kind of ramp up that imposter syndrome or feelings of overwhelm. So building services around your strengths to begin with, and then stepping out of your comfort zone as you go, once you have an established business, can kind of lay that confidence in that foundation. Um, and then consider how much you have energy for. If you're currently a student, you're in a master's program and you have a family and you're trying to build a business and you want that business to, make thousands of dollars in the first year, that's a lot. And burnout is real. So I think also checking in with your energy and what capacity you have. And we have different seasons of different energy capacity, right? So I always like to write out a timeline. Um, and that also goes with marketing and how much do you want to invest? I talk to people all the time who are like, I hate social media. I absolutely hate it. I don't want to do it, but now I have to like spend all this time on social media. I'm like, but you don't because you're choosing to spend your energy on that. Social media is just one avenue for marketing. There's a billion other avenues that you can look at to market your business. And if social media is just draining you and you don't like it and it's not aligned with your values, then maybe that's not what you use, with your energy. So, something to just chew on with that. And then offering a variety of services. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, one-on-one sessions, packages and programs, workshops, group coaching, self-paced products. Those are just some that come to mind, but it's kind of endless what you can offer. I've actually seen some amazing alumni put together education modules where they actually walk their client through a whole program, and all of it's on an app. So there's a lot of really creative things we can do with technology too. Any questions? It's easy to get overwhelmed when we see him bite, bite, bite. Yes, it becomes hard to chew. That's a great way to put it. Nervous about how to sell products. Kelly, we can absolutely talk about that at any point. I'd love to chat with you more. Amy said, I would love a webinar that reviews the actionable steps to creating programs and self-advertising on social media and other marketing avenues. I keep coming onto those webinars, hoping somebody will discuss this. I think that's something we could definitely offer in the future. I also really like the resource score, which is score.org. They have so much free, everything, resources. If you type in social media marketing, they have free webinars. So you might want to tap into that until we have one that comes around. But I really appreciate the feedback on that, and we'll definitely keep that in mind. Okay. So believe in your product and believe in yourself. Not to continue on and on with this, but I believe in all of you. And I know that, after talking to all of you, you have so much amazing wisdom and, resources to share. You have just amazing stories. And there's nothing more heartbreaking to me in my role than, somebody not believing in themselves. And so I know it's not as easy as saying, believe in yourself, and all of a sudden you do, right? This takes time. It takes, unwiring. There's so many layers to this, right? I would highly encourage you to get a career coach, talk to me, find one on your own. Or a coach in general that you feel like you can, trust and feel really comfortable with, whether it's for career or health or just life in general. But, unwinding some of that imposter syndrome and figuring out, where that might come from and how we can get past it as entrepreneurs and as pioneers in holistic health, I think it's really, really important. And I think the confidence piece, like we can, I don't want to like dilute it by saying just have confidence, but I think it's really important to believe in what you are doing and to connect that to, your own particular path and your own particular story. So practice speaking that. If you want to, speak about that with me or another trusted person, practice saying these things out loud and with clarity. The more we practice these skills, the more our brain creates that new pathway, right? So treating your products as evolving, kind of taking away that perfectionist piece, right? Testing out your products and asking people, to write you testimonials and to share what you're doing with other people. Doing your market research, and this is a really important one, but charging adequately for your services. I think new entrepreneurs, myself included, when I was new, we think, well, I'm so new, I don't have anything, I don't have any experience, so I'm just going to charge $40 an hour for, my services. And I think it's really important to understand what your market is charging, and I want you to think of yourself as a professional in that market, just like everyone else that you're seeing charging what they're charging per hour. You deserve to be paid adequately. You invested a lot into your education, you invested a lot into yourself, and you deserve to be paid adequately. And just surround yourself with supportive people, your hype people, the people who are going to be there in your corner. And this is not always pretty, right? Like we have times where this is really, really hard, and we wonder why we're doing it. And we might have to pivot and reiterate and start from scratch again. But I think that can be part of your story as well, just like we heard from Jane. So I just want you to know that I believe in you. And if you ever need anyone to remind you of all of the skills that you have, book an appointment with me. We can definitely talk about all of your skills and how they can be applicable to your business and to what you're doing as an entrepreneur. And we don't need to go into this, but I think grounded authority statements are really important. So practicing, how do you help clients? What are your credentials? Why are you doing the work that you're doing? Practicing that pitch, even just those short paragraphs and saying it out loud, practicing it in the mirror, putting on maybe your own little webinar sometime and putting yourself out there in a really kind of in a way that like feels safe for you as a new entrepreneur, but also stretches your comfort zone. But really like practicing the language as much as you possibly can, I think can be really, really helpful. So, I just wanted to, we have literally 1 minute. There's no online code app creators personally do not code. Do. There's a lot of great conversation in here. Oh, thanks, Kelly. So here's how you can contact me. This is a link to my online calendar. You can book an appointment with me one-on-one. I have a lot of availability in January, and I have quite a few days in December left as well. Um, Jessica said markets are a great way to stretch your comfort zone and get lots of practice. Absolutely. You're welcome, Danielle. If I didn't get to your question, I truly apologize. I've been trying to monitor, but I know there were some questions at the beginning. I will definitely reach out to you later this week and have a one-on-one conversation or send you an email so we can start that conversation. Um, I really appreciate you all being here today and thank you so much. And I can't wait to see how everything unfolds for you in your own businesses. Have a good rest of your day. Happy holidays.